In honor of Black Friday, I'm going to test out two different blacks, carbon black, which I use most of the time, and bone black, which I never use. So here's the carbon black. Put that there to keep track. And the bone black. These are both Golden Paints Heavy Body. So I've got this graphite line here, and I'm just going to scrape the paint over the graphite line. And it looks like with the bone black I can see the line through there. Okay, and with the carbon black, I'll try the same thing. So even with this very thin application, it appears that the carbon black is clearly darker and more opaque. While I've got the black paint out, I want to show you one of my new favorite tools, which is this really cheap hardware store brush. I've just put the brush in, well, you can't see it, maybe you can, just dipped the tips in a little bit of water. But look at this. Look at that great mark you can make with this. One of my favorite ways to mix a black or an intensely dark color is by using two, at least, other colors. So I'll start with this ultramarine blue, and this is sepia. Maybe I'll add a little bit of glazing liquid to that. So that's the blue on its own, ultramarine. Here's the sepia sort of on its own. But when I start adding one to the other, little blue, little sepia, I get a really lovely dark hue that reads almost as black. Another way you can get a really dark color that's kind of surprising is by mixing two complementary colors. Not just any two complementary colors. Some will go much more neutral than others. So here's the same ultramarine blue, and this is pyrrole orange, transparent version of pyrrole orange. So let's try the two of those together. I mean, we're at least going to get a brown. And on the palette, I'm seeing that looks more blue, so I add orange. Yeah, it's definitely getting to be kind of a brown. Let's see if we can get that to look black. In any case, it looks certainly darker than either the blue or the orange. Let's try the same with Naphthol Red Light, which is a fairly primary red, and Permanent Green Light, which is a fairly disgusting green. And then let's try mixing them. Mixing complements will at least get you a brown. Sometimes it'll get much closer to black, depending on the particulars. I think that's probably as dark as we're going to get. And that is a pretty dark brown. So certainly darker than the red or the green. One of my favorite ways to create a dark area in a painting, especially at a larger scale where it makes more difference in terms of the depth, is to layer colors that are transparent mostly. So here I'm starting with the Indian yellow hue. There's a little bit of the brown crud on my brush, as you can see, but that's fine. And then I'd let that dry for a few minutes first before adding the next layer. And without necessarily cleaning my brush, I'm going to add another transparent color. This one is manganese blue, and there's no set order for these. This is just layering a lot of colors until you get some depth in a dark value. I'll leave just a little bit of it overhanging there so that you can see the yellow. And I'll dry that with a hairdryer. And now I'm going to do a little transparent pyrrole orange over here. Let's dry. And one of my favorite transparent colors to use in this black mix is phthalo turquoise. It's a pretty intense color, so I'm gonna extend it with a little glazing medium. And this has the potential to turn it very dark very quickly. And what I'm trying to do is get as much depth as I can and as much nuance. So I don't want to get it really dark really fast. Although that kind of does it. Let me see if I can pick up a little bit of that paint using the brayer. So even though that really reads as a very dark value, I can add little bits of other colors. So I'm going to go for this permanent violet dark, I believe. Permanent violet dark, which is fairly transparent. And then I'm going to add a little quinacridone gold. That tends to just warm everything up. Again, maybe I'll lift some of that with a brayer. So now what we're getting is a very, very dark area with little bits of other colors peeking through.